Hi guys, today I'm going to review the, let me check that, Toshiba Satellite Pro A50-C1G8. Definitely not that easy to remember. The Pro means that it is focused towards the business market, but I don't see any issue using this as a consumer as well. Let's start off with a quick overview. Design and build quality really nice, nothing really outstanding. It could have maybe felt a little bit more sturdy, but that's fine. Therefore, the amount of ports is absolutely great, more than we usually get. The keyboard is also definitely above average, even though mine had a little bit of an issue. The trackpad didn't convince me so much. Therefore, the 1080p matte display did, even though it wasn't quite color accurate. The speakers, on the other hand, were quite weak and a little bit disappointing though. But it's a business device, so I can at least get a little bit behind that or past that. It's not a huge issue. The performance though was absolutely solid, really convincing. Day-to-day tasks get handled very well, no throttling or anything like that, so really good here. Battery life is a little bit of a two-edged sword because it's maybe not that great if you use a higher brightness, especially outdoors. Once you lower the brightness, battery gets actually quite good, but therefore the battery is easily replaceable, so that's definitely kind of leveling things out. Heat and noise also very good because the device maybe isn't ever silent, but therefore very quiet, and heat is no problem at all. Same as the upgrade was from Windows 7 to Windows 10 because that's what it came out of the box. I didn't have any issues or something like that. So let's just get into and check what we've got a little bit more detailed in terms of design and build quality. Here we have the back. Very sturdy plastic, so all good. Here we also have rubber feet that protect it from sliding, and here we can also see the user replaceable battery. Just pull the two levers and you can easily change it if you need some more battery life, and you can maybe even find some bigger batteries here. So all good here. The top itself maybe isn't that great because, as you can see, it flexes quite noticeably. That is the only part that doesn't feel that sturdy, but as you can see here, this could have maybe been done a little bit more solid. Other than that, what do we have in terms of ports? Here we have the Gigabit Ethernet, 2 USB 2.0 headphone jack, also the DVD-ROM drive. On the front we have a pair of LEDs. On the right side we have SD card reader, the whole SD fits in, 2 USB 3.0, full-size HDMI, VGA and port for the ventilation along with the port for the charging. So overall I really like the amount of ports because this should satisfy anyone and all is good here. Build quality, like I said, isn't bad. So let's open it. Can be done with one hand, but it will lift a little bit, but that's no problem here at all. Let's go into the system and actually take a little bit of a closer look at the keyboard. What I really like, the palm rest, really nice material, feels very good, also nice to handle. The keyboard itself has a little bit of a different layout because there are some things like function buttons. You have them, but you don't have a function lock, and once you press this button, you will actually see some UI overlays, as you can see here, so you actually know what happened. So this is a quite nice feature, but I would actually prefer a function lock. The keyboard itself is really nicely done because it's very quiet. As you can hear, this is all good. Travel could have maybe been a little bit better, and it's very tactile because you press and then you feel the click and it bottoms out a little bit, but therefore it is very softly dampened. So the overall typing experience was very good. The only issue that I had was my spacebar because for example, like the first centimeter or so, it just doesn't react at all. If you go a little bit more inwards, but I noticed I use it only at this point, so I had a little bit of a harder time typing. The trackpad isn't that great because it does react very well and it gets most of the situations handled quite solid. As you can see here, if I scroll, this all works, but it sometimes feels a little bit delayed, especially the scrolling. So this didn't convince me so much, but the precision and tracking was good. Also the texture was quite okay, no really problems. We also have two buttons, they work quite well. So overall I would still say I'm not really happy with the trackpad. The keyboard is fine if you don't have the issue with the spacebar. Now let's take a look at the display. 1080p matte, absolutely no problem in my opinion. Usually I am not a fan of matte displays, but this one is still very clear and very sharp, so definitely no problems here with me. The white point is absolutely nice, no problems. It dims a little bit towards the sides, but that's something that I didn't usually notice so much. The black very deep, no backlight bleed at all, very uniform, so all good here. Colors are quite vibrant and vivid and definitely better than I've seen on many matte panels, but they aren't quite color accurate, which you won't really see here so much. But if you, for example, watch a movie with a lot of people in their skin tones are just a little bit off, you should be able to color correct that. That should be no problem at all. So overall the display is still satisfying enough. So actually I prefer it because it's very bright, it's very nice. But you should also keep one thing in mind: if you use it with a higher brightness, for example like 50 and higher, then it drains a little bit more battery than with for example 40%, but I will talk about it later in the battery part. So the next thing to talk about would be the sound, so let's get into that and see what we've got here. And yes, this was 100%. Even though we have them here at the top, I expected definitely a lot more, because I've even used many tablets, sometimes even phones that sounded better. So it's quite disappointing. Okay, it's a business device, so I can look past that. But for more than a maybe YouTube video or something here and there, it's not really suited. Therefore, let's get to the performance once again. I am very pleased with that. If we go into that, check the SSD speeds. These are absolutely fine, not the very fastest NVMe speeds or something like that anymore, but absolutely fine, all good here. The dual core does a really good job. Here we have the Intel Core i5-6200, as you can see here, scrolling very, very smooth. All good here. It's just, again, the trackpad that was what I'm using right now just doesn't react that well, in my opinion. It delays and it doesn't really react that well. So this is an odd thing. But if you use it with a mouse, it's absolutely smooth and gets the job done. So if you rely on a trackpad, definitely go check something else, because this was my main gripe here. But I personally never use a trackpad anyways. I'm a very heavy mouse user, so this was where the performance was absolutely fine. It didn't throttle at all, which is absolutely nice. So if the dual core is enough with integrated graphics, then this one should satisfy you fully, because it handles everything. Now, battery life. A full charge takes about 2 hours and 30, a little bit more than that, which, considering the small battery, isn't that good, because the battery size is, as we can see here, 44 watt hours, and that I've seen already charging a little bit faster. What about the battery life though? I used it at first with 50-60% of brightness, and then I was a little bit disappointed. I only got 3 hours and 55 and so on, also 3.5. But I then switched to 30%, which is actually still bright enough. And then I got values of close to 6 hours and an average of about 5 hours. So if you are able to use it with a lower brightness, you will actually get good battery life at about 5 hours, even a little bit longer. And I drain my devices a little bit faster. If you use it outside, maybe with a higher brightness, battery will go down to maybe 3-4 hours. But the great thing here is the battery is easily replaceable. Just switch it out with a new one and you should be good to go. So that's definitely leveling things out quite a lot already. Now, heat and noise. I wanted to make a noise demo, but I couldn't because the device is just too quiet for that. The one thing though I have to mention, in lower tasks and lighter tasks, it never is completely silent. The fans never shut down. They are always spinning, very subtle, and it doesn't really annoy me. In most cases, I didn't even notice it spinning, but it is always spinning. The good thing though, therefore, is that even under heavy load, it almost doesn't get any louder. It gets a little bit louder, but then stays at that level, and it never gets really loud. And even that level wasn't really enough for my microphone to be picked up. So all good here. Also heat, if we check it, is absolutely fine. The one place at the keyboard where you notice it getting like 1 or 2 degrees over skin temperature is maybe here. The rest is absolutely cold. And at the bottom it's pretty much the same thing. There is no place where it gets really warm. Everywhere, just here a little bit. This is the only place where it gets warm. Here we have the intake, and here we get at a maximum of about 50 degrees. But this is just the outtake. Here it was like 40-42 degrees, which is still very, very good. So just don't block the intake and you should be really fine. And then the heat and noise are absolutely top. Software, it came pre-installed with Windows 7, which was very odd for me to see, but I upgraded to Windows 10 and all things were fine. I had no issues at all, but nothing really special to talk about. Not really any software additions or anything like that. So I would like to get to the end. Is this a good device? For a price at around 800 euros, it does a solid job, but it doesn't really do anything outstanding. The build quality is just average. The keyboard is slightly above average. The trackpad wasn't that great. The display was actually fully satisfying, and once you would calibrate it, it would be even better. Sound was quite disappointing, but if you need a really capable workhorse, the power was absolutely there. That was no issue. Battery life was solid, and you can replace the battery, which is a big bonus, and then you still have a very quiet device. It doesn't get warm at all. So it's better in terms of performance, heat and noise, but therefore build quality, design, and maybe things like the keyboard and trackpad aren't on the very highest level. So just keep that in mind. I would expect you can get maybe something better for this price, but if you maybe find it for a better price, for example 600 or so, I don't see it doing much wrong. The one thing to mention though that I forgot to say is it doesn't have a backlight keyboard, which is a little bit odd for me to see, but it shouldn't be a deal breaker, especially since this is a business device and should be used in brighter environments anyways. So I gave you all the pros, I gave you all the cons. If you want to know anything further, just leave that down in the comments. And if you like this video, give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel if you want to see more reviews like this. Okay, I wish you a nice day. Until next time, bye.